In this video, I'm going to explore how to add two mixed numbers, both with fractions and unlike denominators. I want you to keep in mind as you add these, the first step let's do for these is to add the whole numbers. So think about this problem as 2 plus 1. And then the next step is to add the fractions. So we're going to add 3/4 plus 2/5. The reason I'm suggesting that in the video is to try and make these improper fractions at the beginning and then find a common denominator. You're going to be working with huge fractions. So I think it really makes the most sense for you to think about it like this. 2 plus 1 is 3. And now that step comes in, we need to find a common denominator for 4 and 5. The common denominator is 20. So we know we have a 3 so far, a 3 whole. And to get these both to 20, to go from a denominator of 4 to 20, we're multiplying by 5. Whatever you do to one side, we must do to the rest. 3 times 5 is 15. To go from 5 to 20, I'm multiplying by 4. So I need to get this to 8. There is going to be a little bit of regrouping here because it's like 3 plus 15 20ths plus 8 20ths. That equals 3 and 23 20ths. I'm hoping by now you look at that and say, oh, that doesn't look right, because I know 20 20ths is 1 whole. So every time we get to 20 20ths, we're going to regroup that and call that 1 whole. So my answer is really 4 and 3 20ths, because we're going to take 20 of these guys out to make a whole. So it's 4 and 3 20ths. That's the final answer. For the next problem I put up here, be one step ahead of me, please. I want you to set it up just like I did here. Pause the video and then check and make sure that you are setting it up just like I did here. Use parentheses to separate the whole numbers and the fractions. Go. All right, hopefully you already found the answer by adding 4 plus 1 together, getting a whole of 5, and then adding that to the 2/3 and 2/5. 2/3 and 2/5 have a common denominator of 15. So when you go ahead and I'm sorry, that should just be 5. I'm getting one step ahead of myself here. When you get this common denominator 15, I'm multiplying this denominator by 5, so it becomes 10 15ths. And to get 5 to 15, I multiply it by 3, so that becomes 6 15ths. You'll notice that this lesson is all about regrouping when you have the fraction that winds up looking like 16 15ths, and making sure you know that that is 1 whole and 1 15th. So my answer altogether, 5 plus 1 and 1 15th, gives me an answer of 6 and 1 15th. And that's how I want the answers to be expressed in final form. Go ahead and solve this problem on your own, making sure you set it up similarly to the problem shown above. All right, let's go ahead and review this now. You should have added the whole numbers. This one I'm going to do right here. Get 7. And then we need to add 6 7ths and 2/3. Right off the bat, I know 7 and 3 both go into 21. So I'm going to rewrite this as 21. I had to multiply by 3. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So that's 18 21sts. And this is going to be 14 21sts, which is going to be 32 21sts. So my answer will essentially be 7 and 32 21st. But wait a minute, that's not right, because every time I have 21 up here, 21 21st is a whole. So my answer is really 8 and 11 21st. Why? Because when I take out that group of 21, I'm left with 11 out of 21 remaining. That's what your homework assignment is going to be on. Make sure you understand how to do these types of problems, or reconsult the video. Where you're going to run into problems is when you get into the problem solving with something like this. This is what I call the drop-down menu, the drop-down bar, when you're finding how much remains. In this type of problem, I'm going to go through it in the video and talk to you about how I would solve this. If you feel very confident, you can pause the video and see if you go ahead and get the same answer. I'm going to start by drawing my model. I had $120, so that's my whole. So as soon as I draw my model, I can label that 120. I'm going to divide 120 into 8 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that 8th line is drawn for me. I spent 7/8 of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can go ahead and find out the value of these. If the whole is 120, I should have probably done this at the start, and I have 8 parts. We could do 120 off to the side divided by 8. I probably should have done that right at the start. It's a good habit to get into. 8 goes into 12 one time. I have 4 remaining. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So each of these has a value of 15. I could go ahead and I could write 15 in every single box. But they all are. They're all 15. One bar is 15, they all are. Now it's saying I spent 1/5 of the remainder on Tuesday. So what I colored in orange was I spent 7/8 on Thursday. So this part represents Thursday. I spent 1/5 of the remainder, I'm sorry, 7/8 of the money. I spent 4/5 of the remainder on Tuesday. So I'm going to take this part that remains, and of all of this remainder, I spent 4/5 on Tuesday. So I'm going to divide this into 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each part is 5, because now I'm taking 15 and dividing into 5 parts. I'm sorry, making a lot of mistakes here as I talk out loud. Each part is 3, because I'm taking 15 and dividing it into 5 parts. So each part has a value of 3. I spent 4/5 of it. So I have $3 left. And that's the final answer here, is $3. You'll see multiple problems like that on the homework today. You're going to have to think about how to draw the model for these. You can go ahead and start your homework. Consult the video again if you have any questions.